Yeah, it gets into like free will and all that.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to the renewable energy point before we forget about that.
Mm-hmm.
So this became like a last minute major issue in the presidential campaign because you had Biden have the slip where he was like, in the last debate, I want to get rid of the oil industry. And he wanted to do it, I think, by like 2030 or something like that, like soon.
Yeah.
Like that's fast. And we all know, maybe not all of us, but a lot of people know intuitively that, like, yes, there's going to be better things than oil. We're already discovering those and using those in some cases.
Yeah.
But like anything else, oil's not crushing the climate. It's not great for it, but it's not crushing it.
Yeah.
If it lasted for another 300 years, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But it's not, point being, it's not the kind of thing where you need to be like, it's over tomorrow.
Yeah.
We need to phase it out tomorrow, because now you're dealing with people in one generation. And what I mean by that is like people who are working in that. Now you create a panic scenario where they suddenly have to leave and learn something new, and you don't create a strong, very long-term natural phase-out process whereby oil companies can also reinvent their business and be something new.
When it's profitable to them.
So you have to create that. So when you're saying renewable energy, what are you referring to specifically?
Yeah, I'm just talking about as far as what powers our homes, for instance, right? Just right now we have a good source of that energy is like nuclear reactors, for instance, but renewable energy can mean many things, even if it's coming down to cars, Tesla, for instance, like just lithium batteries. Just being able to have a sort of market where everyone is driving electric vehicles. Right now, at this very point in time, unless you're like Elon Musk and you have that kind of capital where you can invest a fuck ton of money in building these dope cars that everyone can drive, it's not profitable for a business, even companies like Shell, for instance, to go all in renewable right now, because right now they're a public traded company. All they care about is the profit as it stands today. So when the point in time comes where it's going to actually be profitable to invest in renewable energy, those companies 100% will. I have no doubt about it, because it's just pure economics. It's just pure business for them. And that's why I was talking about the possibility of subsidizing for, I didn't know what you mentioned about China, how they subsidize, but I was reading a book somewhere, the ability to subsidize these type of things that are going to be innovative and for the future. That's what's going to enable us as a country to get to that point in time faster, where it actually is cheaper for renewable energy, just to be widely adopted, because we invested the resources into it, as opposed to just pushing it off as like a side project for these smaller companies or these bigger companies. It was a side project for them throughout the entire time. So that's what I personally meant about subsidizing these things. Like economic standpoint too, I'm pretty sure it was just 2018 or 2016, the Pentagon labeled like climate change as pretty much one of the biggest, like not warnings, one of the biggest challenges we're going to have to face in the coming future.
I think the term is like global something, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, right? So it's actually not only
global
is it
threats or something like that.
Global threat, yeah, exactly. So it's actually in our best interest to be investing in these things from a global threat perspective, but also economically, because we're not going to competing with China, like jobs that are being lost here from whether that's steel or whatever. We're not going to get those jobs back. And it's just supply and demand. If China's manufacturing them at such a cheaper rate, and as well as labor, why are we going to try to outcompete for the same exact thing when we're not going to be able to here in America, right? It's a matter of, okay, what can we compete in? When people talk about retraining coal miners to be computer engineers, that's like fucking stupid, first of all. Or just, teach them how to code, right?
Learn to code, that was that hashtag that got...
Like people... It starts getting complicated there when people don't want to leave. People aren't even willing to leave a specific area, even if you pay them to move somewhere else. And there's numbers behind this. Even if you pay them to move to another location, maybe to get that retraining and have a better life, say that's in New York City, people don't they don't like that. So
people don't like being told what to do.
They don't like, yeah, exactly. So there's a it's easy for me to say like this is what should be getting done, but I'm sure it's things that people think about on a day-to-day now, especially in the government, but it's one of those things just because of the nature of how our government works, the changing, it's just going to be hard to have that long-term vision and start planning for that future unless you have like an administration there for 8 years that's 8 years. It's going to take at least the very minimum that 8 years that's fully invested in that, and even its predecessors after.